My name is Jebra. I did everything right. I believed I was one of the good ones. I was not. This is Unwoke, a memoir in episodes.
Oh my God!
My story is a cautionary tale. Buckle up. Chapter 4. Bison Horns and Lectern Thieves. A sense of calm washed over me like the warm golden shower of riches the Nigerian scammer in my inbox kept promising. I rose from bed like a Disney princess, overflowing with love for life. The sky seemed bluer, the birds chirpier, and Timothy's singing didn't send me lunging for my noise-canceling headphones. Biden had won the election in a free and fair process, sometimes multiple times across state lines, and using a delightful variety of ballots. Americans had spoken. That relief carried me from November into December and straight into January. Nothing could peel the grin off my face. Not Literal A's junk food hoarding and cave dweller grunting. Not Ginsburg sulking because his beloved Trump had lost. Not charcuterie cycling through new animal identities every day. Not even Timothy's emotional support guinea pig escaping again. We found him later trembling beneath a pink feather boa next to a platform boot and a disco ball. January 6th began like any ordinary day. Sunshine sparkled, a gentle breeze greeted me, and I floated through my errands. A session with Euripides, my portly life coach, a matcha with Arson and Echo, my COVID cautious support group, a $22 Airy Wand smoothie, and a hair appointment where my stylist bragged about verbally guillotining any client who didn't vote for Biden. I applauded her dedication to democracy. By the time I got home, it was late afternoon. I turned on the TV for company while feeding Dosha and storing my vegan groceries. Feeling righteous, I texted my conservative sister-in-law, Jessica. "Don't forget your booster and your flu shot. Also, no one enters our home without proof of a shingles vaccine." A harmless reminder. She didn't trust science, so I didn't trust her. Unfortunately, what unfolded on my giant smart TV brought me straight to my knees, or at least down into the couch cushions like I was melting into quicksand. "Alexa," I screamed, "what is happening?" In a calm, disembodied voice, she answered,
A mob of Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol to disrupt the certification of Joe Biden's electoral victory, forcing Congress to evacuate and temporarily halting the process. "Good God, no," I shrieked. And
Alexa mumbled,
yes, it is happening now.
I turned up the volume on the TV. A reporter, trembling, announced, "Violent crowds have erupted as members of MAGA storm the Capitol building." "We're going to die," I whispered. Swirls of shirtless men surged behind her. For a moment, it looked like a sale at Bass Pro Shops. "This is in response to Trump suggesting voter fraud," she continued. "Violence is an attempt to steal our democracy." I flipped channels frantically, hungry for more information. Regarded as an insurrection. Democracy hanging by a thread. This is the darkest day in modern American history. Then came the final blow. Footage of a bison man with face paint, fur, and a bare chest. The villain was a sweaty guy in face paint, nipples out, in January. A crime! I screamed like an airbag deploying. "Brad, it's happening!" I shrieked, racing to lock every door and window in case the insurrectionists booked a connecting flight to LAX. They could get on a plane. Fascism does not stop for TSA. Brad wandered out of the bathroom holding a towel. "Why are you yelling? We live in California." He clearly did not understand how coups work. I called the kids into the living room and texted every group chat I had. Emergency, insurrection, drink water, stay safe, do not go outside. Timothy responded from upstairs with a wig selfie. "Is the drag show canceled?" I hurled my phone and yelled up the stairs, "The rest of your life is about to be canceled." I watched every angle, every replay, every frame of chaos. Anderson Cooper called them low-rent tourists. By morning, I'd transformed the pantry into an emergency bunker with the kids' snacks on the top shelf, water jugs stacked like soldiers ready for battle, and canned chickpeas and dried jackfruit on the lowest shelf. "If the coup lasts over 72 hours, I told Brad, "we'll need a ration plan. Thank goodness we have that vat of rice. "It's not a coup," he groaned. "Did you not hear Trump tell people to remain peaceful?" "Oh, Brad, please, read between the lines. He was begging people to be violent, commanding this." Brad walked away. Was he secretly watching Fox News? Later, I joined an emergency Zoom hosted by Wompson of Rage and Wellness. Someone sobbed. Someone burned incense. Arson smoked indoors as if the world was ending, which it was. Throngs of criminals stormed the Capitol armed with pepper spray, knives, and heavy weapons, someone cried. "And did you see the helmets and tactical vests?" another said. "And bullhorns," I added. "Nancy Pelosi might have been decapitated. I heard someone took a dump on her desk." "That Bison guy almost toppled our entire government," Echo moaned. "No, he didn't," Brad muttered from the hallway. Ginsburg stood beside him proudly, wearing a Trump 2020 shirt. I hissed at them to leave and slammed my office door behind them. "We have to remain peaceful at all costs," I said, giving Brad the finger through the window of the French doors. Everyone went around describing their traumas. When it was my turn to share, I whispered, "I feel violated, like they attacked me." "Yes, Jebra," the leader soothed. "You are the capital. We are the capital." Exactly. That afternoon, I forced the kids into a collective trauma processing circle. "I have math homework," Ginsburg whined. "There is no math if democracy falls." I wailed into a Trader Joe's paper bag, nearly hyperventilating. All 4 of my kids scattered when I suggested doing a trust fall to reclaim our autonomy. That evening, Brad begged me to turn off the news. "I can't," I said, clutching the remote like a rosary to my chest. "If we don't stay vigilant, Trump will dismantle our government. Just a few more days. Joe Biden will fix everything once he's sworn in." "He's not fixing shit," Brad sighed. I squinted at him. "Brad, did you even vote for Biden?" "Of course." "I don't believe you." That night, I barely slept. I lay awake, imagining tanks rolling down our suburban street and Proud Boys hiding behind palm trees, Oath Keepers on the sidewalks, Boogaloos at my door. When I finally drifted off, Bison hats and stolen lecterns invaded my dreams. For the next week, I slept in the hallway with a broomstick in one hand and pepper spray in the other, ready to defend the children. At 3 a.m., I went on Instagram and posted a photo of a dead rose, petals shriveled like my heart. "I'm not okay. We are not okay. We may never be okay again." 117 likes. I felt validated, but the paranoia lingered for weeks. I scanned Whole Foods for exits, kept my phone on full volume for democracy alerts, bought more pepper spray, bought a megaphone, considered learning Krav Maga. I even started a GoFundMe, support my emotional recovery from January 6th. It raised $32. "No guilt for taking money from strangers?" Brad asked. "No," I said. "It's reparations." By the end of the month, any image of a bison, whether it be on yogurt containers, in books, or on the National Geographic Channel, triggered a panic attack. I skipped the Yellowstone documentary. I hid Charcuterie's Little House on the Prairie because it mentioned horns. January 6th attached itself to my soul like a barnacle, shaping me, governing me, taking over the part of my brain that used to rationalize. And that's when the activism kicked into high gear. January 6th didn't just radicalize the right, it radicalized me. The day democracy almost died, and then I finished the job by killing every ounce of common sense I had left. Chapter 5. Ginsburg Derangement Syndrome. I was a social justice crusader, shielding my children from Republican poison like a mother bear guarding her cubs from rabid wolves. During the Biden years, I fought harder than ever to right the wrongs of Trump's first regime. Before playdates, I required parents to submit vaccination and voting records. No child of mine had ever entered an unvaccinated Republican's home. I shuddered at the thought of exposing them to germ-infested bigots. Brad and I tackled climate justice, systemic racism, trans rights, and LGBTQIA2S+ advocacy, though his efforts were always half-hearted. I blamed his testosterone levels. Still, I carried the weight. I organized a fundraiser for one-eyed, Black, trans, South African sex workers, earning local praise. As a person of oppressed power in Los Angeles, I embraced my duty to uplift marginalized groups. I raised the kids to be woke, preaching daily about justice, inclusion, and intersectionality. I believed they shared my values. Then the unthinkable happened. Even now I shake recalling it, but inspired by Hillary's persistence, I press on. Ginsburg betrayed me. One afternoon, I let him play at a neighborhood park, masked and gloved. He returned without PPE, spouting a tale so horrifying I became catatonic for a week. Did I enter a fugue state? Perhaps. Was I in a fetal position for 24 hours? Maybe. Did I gnash my teeth so hard I developed lockjaw? Absolutely. Young Republicans brainwashed him during playtime, convincing him Trump wasn't a dictator. We argued for hours as he defended the indefensible. The long and short of it was simple and devastating. My son had been radicalized. I scoured the internet for a young liberals boot camp to reprogram him, but none existed. I emailed Ibram X. Kendi for a 1-month training intensive, but he never replied. I even researched orphanages in Canada, but COVID fears stopped me. I wasn't a monster, but Ginsburg worsened. He refused to watch The View. He tore down his Biden and Hillary posters. He ripped down my pride curtains and trans flag. He created a PowerPoint comparing Republican small government to Democratic big government. When I asked how anything worked without oversight, he shrugged and said, "Do your research, Jebra." That sent me screaming into a pride pillow for 35 minutes. I called Brad, but he was unreachable. I considered puberty blockers, blaming low testosterone like his father, but before I could research side effects, Ginsburg embraced Matt Walsh, swapped his white privilege report for Daily Wire episodes, and ignored the 1619 Project. Then the final horror. He hung an American flag in his room. An American flag. I eyed our neighbors, Joe and Stephanie, with suspicion. Their car washing and playing outside without masks seemed mostly innocent, but Biden's warnings about MAGA extremists rang true. I bought a telescope from Amazon so I could look inside their home and ensure they weren't doing anything extreme. Timothy and Charcuterie, my loyal souls, snuggled with me watching RuPaul's Drag Race as comfort. I fought on, trying to re-educate Ginsburg with white fragility and the history of white people, but to my disgust, he remained more interested in The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump. I was shaking, almost vomiting, and that's when it hit me. Not a revelation, a diagnosis. That night, after screaming into my pillow until I tasted salt, I Googled symptoms of political radicalization in children. But what popped up instead chilled my blood, a psychological condition. Not for him, for me. There was a real and serious illness known as Trump derangement syndrome. You've seen it. You've probably been exposed to people actively suffering from it. And no, there is no vaccine or preventive pill you can take. According to Wikipedia, Trump derangement syndrome is a term applied by some writers to describe critics of U.S. President Donald Trump, including liberals and progressives, whom they accuse of responding to statements and political actions by Trump in a manner verging on the irrational without regard to his actual position or action taken. A chill ran through me. It sounded familiar, too familiar. It began in 2016 and spread like mold in a damp basement. Many people were left scrambling for a new belief system, wondering what to trust after their world collapsed. Etsy shops began selling TDS pins so allies could raise awareness. And suddenly, I saw myself. Just a little. Had I been suffering from TDS from 2016 to 2020? Those years were my lowest points. I consumed nothing but CNN and The View. I eagerly awaited the wisdom of Whoopi and Joy. I nodded along as they described the evils of the Trump regime. Everywhere I looked, I saw Donald J. Trump. Even in the mirror, he was there, floating above my masked face like a bloated orange Thanksgiving parade blimp. I consumed every morsel of Trump news, watching Rachel Maddow while biting my nails down to nubs. I ate so much to dull the pain that I ballooned to almost 300 pounds. Yes, it was Trump's fault. I wanted everyone to know where I stood politically. I refused to let anyone think I was neutral. Over the top? Maybe, but wasn't it warranted? During Trump's first term, I didn't recognize the signs of TDS written all over my bloated, grief-puffed face. I blamed Trump and his followers for making me resemble an old baseball glove. Other signs of TDS included, but were not limited to, seizures at the sight or sound of any Trump family member, believing the world was ending, fear of walking alone in your own neighborhood, calling every conservative a Nazi, paranoia, feeling watched by the NSA, rage-filled TikToks filmed inside a sedan, owning a Bernie Sanders poster, having more than one Hillary Clinton memoir, insisting World War III was imminent because of Trump. As I scrolled, my mouth went dry. There was also a mainstream media component, a vigorous dedication to MSNBC that increased symptom severity. Treatment included exposure therapy, consisting of 24/7 Trump rally footage and speeches while the patient remained contained. Well, wouldn't Ginsburg love that? I kept reading. For the truly afflicted, doctors recommended cortisol-lowering supplements, saffron for depression, not medical advice, cognitive therapy, emotional support dogs, memes, gifs of Trump dancing, canceling cable, learning to get news from Rumble. For some, there was no cure. Many sufferers fled to Mexico, some considered Sudan. If you know someone who suffers from this psychological malady, the article concluded, please proceed with caution. I sat frozen, screen glowing, breath shallow. No, I didn't have it. I was maybe slightly afflicted, but not fully. I bit my nails as I considered something wild, something I told myself was imagination. If my son had drifted right, maybe it wasn't because of Trump, or the park, or the neighbors, or the telescope, or Matt Walsh, or the American flag. Maybe, just maybe. No, it couldn't be. Was it me? I slammed the laptop shut. No, I couldn't accept that. Ginsburg was a child just rebelling. That was it. I didn't have TDS. I laughed aloud as my gaze fell on a discarded Trump voodoo doll I had purchased in January 2017 and kept on my dresser. A handful of pins stuck out from its knees and shoulders. I bit my lip. Deep inside, where I still hadn't admitted the truth, a tiny crack had formed, and everything that came next would split it wide open. You've been listening to Unwoke, a memoir of my complete unraveling. New chapters drop every Monday. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Substack, where I am still, unfortunately, processing my breakdown. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. And if you didn't enjoy it, then don't say anything at all. Hope to see you next week.
Attention. Attention. You must all clear this area.